for 2 years in a row, Indiana leads the nation in a way that is less than desirable, the number of meth lab seizures.
On average today, Hoosier law enforcement will respond to 4 labs, and there will be 4 more tomorrow and the day after that.
Although authorities will remove the drugs and the drug-making materials, what's left behind can be just as dangerous, but you may not know.
Over the next 2 nights, in a special series entitled Poisonous Properties, News 18's Dan Klein investigates Indiana's clandestine lab database. Dan, you discovered that it is not perfect.
Well, yeah, I found a couple of homes a couple of errors just in the most recent 15 months possible. There's a few homes listed that have been cleaned up but not taken off the list. But the most alarming was one apartment, and that's where I found that it had not been followed up with by the health department, yet tested positive for meth. State and local officials tell me that their system and communication is getting better, but as prevalent as meth use is across the state, they say home buyers and even renters may need to look out for themselves. A protective suit, 2 sets of gloves with tape, a respirator. That's what it takes just to enter Rebel Middleton's Idaville rental property.
It was my first home I bought on my own, so yeah, it has a lot of meaning.
It wasn't until she evicted her last tenants for not paying the rent she found out they were also meth cooks, meaning everything. The carpet, the fixtures, everything had to go.
Horrible. It's just been horrible. I wouldn't wish this on anybody.
It's a problem that continues to grow across Indiana with no signs of slowing. The meth address database lists more than 10,000 locations where labs, precursors, or dump sites have been found. The system begins when state police are called to the scene of a lab, process it, then notify the health department and the fire department.
Those chemicals will permeate the surfaces in these houses. It'll permeate the furniture. It will contaminate everything around it.
The health department decides what actions, if any, are needed to make the house livable again. Property owners have 6 months to get a qualified inspector certified that a property is clean. Otherwise, it goes on the list, which is administered by the Indiana State Police in cooperation with the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. There are more than 150 addresses in Tippecanoe County, but they shouldn't all be here. There's one listed under the wrong county, 1 mobile home that was removed and taken to the dump, and 3 that have been properly cleaned.
And in fact, the properties you questioned yesterday, I have them all addressed already. I worked with ISP.
Lori Kyle Endress is IDEM's Drug Lab Inspector Program Director.
You would think it would be a lot easier to keep that master list than it is. And, you know, and people are human. I don't know. There's probably some human error in there, too.
Most troubling is a listing at an apartment at this house on North 10th Street in Lafayette. When a lab was busted here in October of last year, it was faxed to the wrong number. So there are no records of the county health department ever following up.
I need to maybe look into that in more detail.
After our interview, the property was tested by an inspector who found 1 positive sample for meth in the kitchen. However, the results were minor enough that the current tenant does not have to be displaced for cleaning. That tenant declined comment to News 18. The property owner says the person who lived here when the lab was busted was an outpatient of the Wabash Valley Alliance and being checked daily, so meth was never cooked inside.
We moved over here.
Tippecanoe County's environmental health specialist Ron Knowles bases his decision to declare a home unfit for habitation on ISP's initial report. He says owner-occupied homes can be more difficult to deal with than others. At 3 properties, 1125 Rochelle and 2 more on the same street, 729 and 4509 Chisholm Trail, Knowles says the owners have refused to pay for cleaning, took the sticker off the door and moved back in.
Right now, unless there's a child involved, we've chosen not to aggressively go after those at this time because of, I think, legal fees.
Knowles says he monitors the properties, but what if they move?
That's always a possibility. Yeah.
I mean, that concerns me.
Right, and of course these are on the website, and you know, we've talked about how to handle that.
How would you?
Well, we're talking about we're talking about how to proceed with those 2 or 3.
I think they should be, they should not be allowed to be inside. You're going to take contamination off your clothes, or you go sit down at the restaurant, they could have meth crystalline all over their body.
That's why the cleaning work continues at Middleton's first home at a cost of $12,000. It will take another estimated $30,000 to fix and replace everything her previous tenants damaged. But it's worth it to her so that this house is no longer a poisonous property, but instead a home full of memories.
The damage is done. I mean, the only thing I can do is rebuild. But knowing that it was already done, I mean, you're never going to forget it.
As to the homes on Chisholm Trail and Rochelle Drive, which are still occupied but have not been certifiably cleaned, Tippecanoe County Health Officer Dr. Jeremy Adler maintains they pose no health hazard to the community. He says the owners are all adults who have been informed of the potential risks to their health.
Well, Dan, it's a little alarming to think that somebody was inside an apartment, living inside an apartment for, what, more than a year, all because of a wrong fax number. Has anything been done about that?
Well, they say that the system is different now. Instead of faxing, they use email, and at 2 different points along the chain, a health officer in the health department should get that email.
So what do you have for us tomorrow night in part 2?
Well, tomorrow night we're going to be looking at how these properties get cleaned to make sure that they are safe for people to move back in. And then we're also going to be looking at the 2 aspects that if what you can do if you're looking to either buy a new home or moving into a new rental.
All right, we'll look forward to that.
Good work. Thanks, Dan.
Dan, thank you.